Howdy there, folks. Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your second Walker episode review. I love wearing this cowboy hat. I really do. It's going to be a blast. I'm not sure how many episodes this season has. I think I heard an interview somewhere from the actor Jerry Padalecki. I think it's 13 episodes this season because of COVID. And if it is 13 episodes, then it's going to be an interesting remaining. Well, they're going to probably go on hiatus soon. So I'm going to see the next 4 months. 4 months, I'm going to enjoy wearing this cowboy hat and just having fun with y'all. It's been fun. Also, Walker broke. Oh my God. The premiere record. The highest viewed CW show in 5 freaking years. Jesus. I mean, damn. That's impressive. I cannot be. I'm honestly not surprised, but I'm also surprised considering the fact the way TV has been going lately. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was not expecting Walker to even crack 2 million, let alone go past it. Now, again, of course, obviously, we'll see how week to week goes, but I think this is going to be a long journey. I think I don't know if I said this before, but this is the beginning of a longer journey. We're just beginning. I don't think this will be a one season wonder. Hopefully, this will go for a while, considering the fact that this episode definitely it's going to put us in a loop in a little bit, considering the fact this episode felt like the second part of the premiere, that in a way that I wasn't expecting it, considering the fact that in my head, when this show was being promoted, that there was going to be a larger mystery at play of what was going on with Walker's wife. Well, Cordell's deceased wife. I had my own expectations on it and had my own ideas surrounding it, but after this episode, I'm starting to wonder, is there really a mystery here, or is this was just were we kind of being promoted in terms of the way, what is Walker thinking right now? And it worked, and if it somehow manages to stick and nothing more sinister happens, I guess, wow, damn, they did a really good job really putting us into Walker's position, as well as, you know what? This is a different type of story after all. This is not going to be where I think it's going to go. But let me talk more about that as we go through the butchered recap and talk about the second episode of Walker. I gotta learn how to say Walker. I keep saying Walker, Walker, and it's Walker. Walker. Jesus Christ! Thank God this show wasn't around in the 80s. I mean, my show. I don't mean this show. I know the show was around back in the 80s, but you know what I mean. So we begin with, we begin with a typical, this was giving me kind of minor supernatural / procedural flashbacks, since we begin in a barn house, a horse stable, mind you. I'm still very new to this terminology, so correct me if I'm wrong. We're at a stable. It seems to be nice, all nice and quiet. The horse, he's trying to get some sleep. I never understood how horses fall asleep, so bear with me. A fire breaks out. The horses are obviously in, what's the terminology for horses screaming? I forgot that they're not happy. There's a commotion going on. The farm workers show up to kind of start getting the horses out, not even really focused on taking care of the fire. One of the farm hands goes to save one of the horses, but it does the gate doesn't open, so he tries to get a crowbar to open it up, and there's a beam from the farmhouse, from the stable, falls on him, and presumably, it kills him, and then we just hit the title logo, done. It's okay, this is going to be already, I guess, case of the week, I guess, and I'm oh God, not already. I was kind of hoping we get a little bit more time to ease our way into that format. I knew we were inevitably going to do that, but I thought we were going to take a little bit more time, but even the show subverted my expectation on that front, because we cut to the next morning. Cordell is walking to his truck with some tools and supplies. He finds this saddle, his saddle, and it has one of the cases, the storage compartments. It's a custom made one that has the initial CW for Cordell Walker and EW for Emily Walker. And then we get our flashback where Emily gives Cordell the saddle, and obviously, of course, he's not a man of words. He's more of a man of passion. As He says, I think he says thank you, and then he immediately kisses her, and I'm like, yeah, this is true love right here. Considering the fact, again, second week in a row saying this, the actors and the actress are married in real life, so that kiss felt so real, it felt with so much energy. I sound like a weirdo when I say that. Flashback order: Cordell's just remembering that time. He heads back to the family house, his house, where he's going to go fix the screen door, considering the fact something happened to it. And he gets a call from his mother, continuing the conversation from last week, saying that, hey, look, why are you back in the house? That's not really a home anymore. And he's like, well, I still pay a mortgage on it. It's still my house. I gotta attend to it. And she's like, well, it doesn't really feel like home. You know, we got the farmhouse here. You and the kids can move into it. I honestly thought last week that we were kind of easing our way into it. So I knew that Cordell was not 100% sold on the idea yet. So, be it as it may, Cordell just says, look, I'll be back home for breakfast. Don't worry. He goes to fix the screen door. He finds a lot of beer and a lot of party remnants around, which he's obviously confused by. He texts his daughter that I literally forgot. I think it's Autumn. Is it Autumn or August? I don't remember. I'm so sorry. Second week on the job, and I already forgot the names. It could be Sydney, too. I'm getting... August is the name of the son. I forgot. Oh, God, I'm so horrible at names. Okay, moving on. She texts back no, or it's like... She sends a new text abbreviation that I'm like, I don't even know what it is, and I'm 23, and I should be knowing this stuff, and I don't. So, that doesn't really pay out well for Cordell. We cut back to we don't cut back to the Walker household yet. We have it to Mickey and her boyfriend, her boyfriend, considering the fact she doesn't really have a title for him. I'm assuming they just had another night of passionate lovemaking. They're about to go in for a morning round until she gets called in by Captain Luke, Captain James, oh my god. The captain, I'm just going to call him the captain. My head's already all over the place tonight. The captain, for a new case, she's ready to get off. Not in that way. He wants her to stay a little bit because obviously they're not really that much into town. She notices that there's more of his stuff than, she was anticipating since, according to him, he has a much longer leave, which, honestly, I have a best friend in the Army. His leaves are usually like a month. And last week he said 2 weeks. So that's not out of the ordinary for me, but considering the fact they've been doing this for quite a while, I'm not sure if something else is at play here. And they're getting to the point where like they want to have talking. They're both talking about like a much more serious commitment, like an actual relationship. But before she can answer that, before she answers that question, she changes the topic and has to leave to go to work. And for some reason, and this is not a CW show premiere season without someone taking off their damn shirt. Why am I not surprised that the dude takes off his shirt to impress the girl he's already won over? I don't know. Beats me. I don't get how that works. But whatever. It is an impressive six-pack. I will say that. Then we cut to the Walker household. Everyone's kind of in the mood for breakfast. Everyone's happy. Cordell walks in, kind of expecting everything to kind of go back to normal now that he's back around. He's questioning everything about why they're doing family breakfast and, why is his brother here and, all that sort of thing. Where's his mug? And it's like, nothing is like going back into order for Cordell, back into the rhythm as everyone's kind of already moved on beyond him, or at least already has a groove going into place and doesn't want to upheave everything for Walker. His daughter heads off to school, waiting for her uncle. Same with the son. So they're kind of already like in another different dynamic, the three of them. And I think that after that, Cordell gets called over for a case. So he gets called over with the case. They head to the farmhouse. He meets up with Mickey, and also with the captain. They get the rundown of the situation that the stable house was damaged. One of their prized horses is dead. Same with one of the farmhands. And the prized horse was apparently won from a recent bidding. And this was kind of like a hot ticket horse for upcoming races. So it's a pretty valuable horse in terms of like future profitability. And one of the farmhands suggests like another person may have had something to do with it in terms of, having a motive. But before we even continue with that mystery, that case, technically, Cordell's not a Texas Ranger because apparently Texas Rangers have to recertify every 2 years. his time is up. He did not recertify in time, so technically he cannot be on this case. So I'm gonna say in the matter of a day and a half or so, because I don't think they're following. I'm sorry, very unprofessional. I've been up for a while now. I'm recording this like before 11 at night. I've been up since before around 9, I guess. I don't remember. Apologies for that. That's very unprofessional. So where do we go from here? Oh no, yeah. So like I was saying, so if this show takes, if we're following things more on a more straight line pattern, because it doesn't seem like we've had much of a time skip in terms of like the usual CW shows, like, you know, we go week by week in a very much of the method of like every episode airs after a week kind of thing. So I don't think it's been that. Plus, don't you think you would have mentioned this in the last episode, Captain? Huh? Don't you think? So Cordell has to get retexted. He has to get recertified. He's not really a big fan of it. He just wants to continue doing his work and doesn't want to do the whole humdrum paperwork ordeal. The captain's not having it since he kind of wants to. Oh, Captain James, right? That's his name. There we go. I just remembered. I remember, like, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I had an old member of the channel's name was named James. I'm like, I'll remember that next time. So, where was I going to go with that? Yeah. So they're back in the station. He's telling him that, look, now that I became captain, things are gonna be different. Like, I need to make my mark. I need to make sure everything is now different and more straight. I cannot have my first year being captain to have people kind of giving passes whatsoever. I'm going to be more stricter, more to the point. So that means Cordell needs to get recertified, obviously, or he cannot be a Texas Ranger anymore. Mickey conveniently happens to overhear this and is ready to help him out with the recertification, because it's kind of a teamwork exercise as well, which makes no sense since Mickey just did this recently and she didn't have a partner by then. So whatever the case may be, also important key to know, one of the receptionists comes by the two of them and gives him an important piece of exposition that the one of the farmhands called in to report that there was this other business dude who was kind of pissy about now winning the horse at auction, so he's still motive at play. But they can't talk about the case. They immediately just go into the recertification. So I believe they head up to the station. So, and Cordell obviously does pretty well in the shooting range. He does well in the driving, which I'm like, Jesus freaking Christ, that driving scene was so freaking cool. Like, he went in like high speed and he hit a single traffic cone. I'm like, damn, this man's impressive. But the last part of the recertification is to pass the horse riding. Well, the ability to ride a horse properly and maneuver well. That's his last task. He uses his personal saddle that Emily gave him, but while he's kind of like riding on it and kind of getting back into the groove of things, he knows he can't do it. He's not over Emily yet, and he can't bring himself to ride this horse properly, and he gets off and forfeits the test. Meanwhile, his kids each have their own like mini subplots going. His son August, I believe, August is has this project to do for, I don't know if it's a project for the school or for his class. I didn't really clarify that. And his focus is wanting to do it on his photography, since that's what Emily, his mother, was mostly interested in, kind of began teaching him before she passed away. And as for the daughter, Sydney, I believe, I gotta double check those names. I'm mostly right, but I could be wrong. She is, obviously we're still following her on the soccer thing. She's excelling in soccer. She's one of the top posts, but her best friend's there, and they're technically both benched for a couple games because of their actions. I believe it's because of the partying thing. It could be for a separate thing. I'm not really sure what it was. So when the coach begins assigning positions for the upcoming game, her friend is benched. She's not able to play. And then she starts speaking out about it. The coach is not having it, and instead she decides to kind of protest the game and not participate unless her friend's alongside her. So keep those in mind till later. And so then we come back to the bar where Emily's friend, which played by Rain from Supergirl, I forgot her character's name. I apologize. Walker's day drinking because he's just not ready to take the last test and recertify, because he just doesn't. His head's not in the right mind space, ever since he's been back in town, ever since he's been back to being himself again, not undercover work anymore. all he's been thinking about is Emily, which obviously we get considering the fact that from what the time jump insinuated, it wasn't much of like Cordell had time to process and grieve properly. I'm assuming he got on the case to find his wife's killer. They got him, and then he got reassigned to another case, and then he had to leave. He had to leave to go handle that, to go undercover. So I don't believe he had a proper time to grieve with his family, and he didn't have a proper time to grieve for himself. So I'm not surprised in terms of himself as a character. He's not ready to do many things on his own without thinking of Emily, and he's still thinking about the case. He repeats what he was saying last week, that some of the facts don't line up. Why was there a poker chip there? Why were her eyes closed? And this is where I was saying at the top of the show, like, this is starting to feel like there is no mystery here. It was just a simple, something was wrong with a cartel, something was wrong there was a border dispute, and Emily was sadly a victim of it because it was actually her friend who was the one who closed her eyes. So when Cordell saw it, the eye closing felt like it was a personal matter. It was because she did it. She was the one who closed her eyes because she didn't want Emily's body to be discovered with her eyes just wide open. That's just too much for her to handle. So Cordell has a little bit of semblance of peace. Like, okay, that's not a mystery. That was just her friend just not wanting anyone to see her in that state, which I completely understand and it completely makes sense for. And then as for so that's kind of where it ends. And Cordell, I think he just leaves to go back to the station, where I believe, where do we go from here? I think, so Mickey does her own thing, continuing the investigation on the side. She meets with the horse doctor, which I know are real things because I saw Rick and Morty, so real profession. I'm still surprised it's a real profession. And it turns out the report did not prove the horse that died in the fire was the actual horse in question, the prize horse everyone's talking about. Turns out it was just a regular workhorse, because about a couple weeks ago, the horse that was actually the one that's now missing had an issue with his left leg, I believe. Like, the left leg had fractures in it, meaning that if he was to race again, he'll probably break it, and it's probably now going to be a dead investment. So now there's a more financial aspect in terms of like this all being a setup. And I believe, where do we go from here? I know we get another scene somewhere. Oh yeah, we head back to the farmhouse, to the Walker farmhouse. The son is beginning to play around with the camera, trying to figure out his inspiration for his project. He gets his own flashback with his mom on, I believe, the first day she was trying to teach him how to use her camera. I believe then the Grandma Walker shows up. She watches him from a distance, talks to Grandpa Walker about like why he's so against Cordell and his family fully moving into the farmhouse. He's just like, look, you talk about all this fresh start. What kind of fresh start is it for a grown son with his own kids to move back into his parents' house? It just doesn't make sense. And it could just be the macho dad at play, or maybe he just has a different type of ordeal or morals in his mind than everyone else. It could be either or. But he's not 100% down for the idea just quite yet. So I believe then we cut to... Also, I forgot there's a thing with Liam, his brother, that he's trying to reconnect. He's trying to like make things a little bit stronger, since the two of them are kind of like they're kind of co-parenting in a way, since like Cordell is the real father and Liam's kind of filling in for like helping out while Cordell isn't there. So he's trying to reach out and trying to like rebuild something with Cordell. So he invites him to lunch during the breakfast scene before. Cordell obviously misses it because he's got his own issues going on. And it turns out I believe Liam he's not married. He's dating someone. They're really into each other, and his boyfriend is considering why don't they move to New York and kind of start a new life together, since he wants to move out of Texas and he's just waiting on Liam to move out too. But I think Liam is obviously the DA, the assistant DA, or the DA there, so he's got too much commitments down there to leave. So we'll see how that goes about. Then we come back to the station. Walker's eating some queso, which I don't know what queso is, but I will try it in 2 months. So I'll let you guys know in the later March Walker reviews how queso is, because believe me or not, that episode's going to be fire. So Mickey walks in to talk about the case, but Mickey asks him, why are you not, why didn't you finish the recertification? Walker tells her the truth that like he's just not mentally ready. He's just not there yet. He's got a lot on his mind. And then Walker just bluntly asks her, "So how's you and your boyfriend doing?" She's like, "Changing the subject. We got to get back on this case." And it's like, okay, yeah, let's not talk about your dear. Walker just confessed somewhat of his soul out to you, and you're not even responding. What kind of trust is that? I'm kidding. I'm joking. Then I believe, did we just immediately cut to the next thing? Did we get to the next thing? I don't know. Oh, yeah, he said, like, yeah, so the horse is out there somewhere. They got to find it. And then we just get a random shot of Vancouver. Actually, no, I keep forgetting that this is not a show set in Vancouver. It's actually filmed in Texas. So I completely forgot. Also, sorry, the camera just moved. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the horse is out there in the streets. So they split up. So now that they got the confirmation that there was a more of a conspiracy to commit the fire and also potentially kill the horse, they're going to go after the guy. And Walker, since he's not technically a Texas Ranger anymore, he's going to go out and get the horse. So they both split up. Walker goes into the city, finds some footprints, well, hoof prints, mind you, finds the horse, manages to gain his trust, and manages to pull him back while Mickey and Captain James goes to corner the rich people, businessmen. I don't even know what to call them, the bad guys of the week, before they escape on their private plane and potentially get away with it. So they manage to stop them. Gunfire ensues. Walker comes in, and as soon as Captain James just sees him on the horse, like, technically, you're satisfied, you're done, you're good to go. Help us fight these guys. They get everyone. The day is saved. They save the horse, and they got the criminals. At the bar, James is finishing up the recertification paperwork and just tells Walker, promise me in 2 years I'm not much of a hard ass on you on this. So I'm like, sure, James, we'll wait till season 3. Hopefully the show gets to season 3 or season 2. The three are about to begin celebrating until Liam comes in, a little bit miffed at Cordell for missing out on lunch, but he's mostly there to inform him that his daughter is not at the game. So now, once again, she's missing for the second week in a row. I'm like, Jesus Christ, someone's got a tracker on this kid. Cordell knows where she is exactly, so he has Mickey tag along with him to assist him on the matter. Turns out they're at the house, the family house, where she threw a party to kind of get her mind off things with the world. She was mainly doing it under the guise of helping her best friend get her mind off things, but in reality, this was also a way for her to get her mind off things too. Cordell comes in, he confronts his daughter. Mickey attempts to break up the party. And I think, yeah, so this is where they have an argument about how, like, things are not meant to go back to normal, and mainly it boils down to, like, yeah, so she keeps saying, like, you have so much of a sentiment attachment to this house, even though this doesn't even feel like a house anymore. This just feels like a museum, that you're only keeping this house and preserving this house because you just want to keep Mom's name alive, Mom's legacy alive. And while Cordell doesn't immediately deny this, she's kind of got a point on that, as well as there's no point of being at home anymore, since all the things that made home, well, this specific home, all revolved around Emily, the wife, the mother, being there and doing all those things, while Cordell was not. And the fact Cordell is even wanting a second chance to kind of get that family life again is something that she doesn't agree with. So, but the thing that really takes the cake is that, well, she heads back into the party, while Cordell also hears from her that apparently at some point during the process where Cordell was away and kind of went AWOL from his family, it turned out that Liam tried to get custody of the kids while he was away, which he was unsuccessful at. So Cordell, being angry, tries back up to the Walker farmhouse where he runs into Liam. The two engage in a skirmish. Well, it wasn't really a fight, no offense, about the whole thing. It boils down to the brass tacks is that, Cordell has a right to be the father. He's the father, so he should still be the father to his kids. And Liam's like, look, you were off the deep end for months. Emily was gone. There was a chance where you may not even come back, and I'm not going to let these kids be orphans. So I tried to be their new parent or guardian because I don't want them to be taken away. Eventually, Cordell gets wind down. Well, he was also bringing up the thing which they used in promos, like, something doesn't line up with this case. Like, there's still irregularities with the case. Liam's just trying to talk about it. Like, you're just going crazy, man. You're just not in the right headspace. You need to be focusing on your family, which I think that alone, plus Cordell's son witnessing the skirmish, was enough for Cordell to kind of get snapped back into to reality. Cordell goes to talk to his son about everything, and yeah, and here's the other bombshell revelation. He gives a present that Emily was planning on giving Walker the next Father's Day had she still kept living, so she had already bought out the Father's Day gift already, which contained poker chips. And there's a few of the orange ones missing. And guess who has one of the orange poker chips? Cordell. Meaning that, and also the reason why Emily even had them on her hands was that she wanted to show people around town what she was going to get Cordell for Father's Day. As kind of a way of like symbolizing like, hey, this is what I'm getting my husband, for being such a great father. Just look at it and it's like, oh, damn. There might not even be a case here after all, since like, well, so this was mostly the way we're getting it from this episode. This is mainly something that was an accident. This wasn't some sort of conspiracy or anything. And two of the biggest factors in Cordell's reasoning for even thinking this is a bigger deal just turned out to be simple explanations. So I think that's when Cordell starts to realize, like, maybe this was just this case has already been solved and he's just not ready to move on from it yet because he doesn't want to face a reality where he doesn't think about his wife anymore. Which kind of really, it makes sense, and it really makes you think about things a little bit. And so I believe, yes, also that night, Mickey heads back home. She talks to her now boyfriend, and she's, the reason why she didn't give him an answer at the moment was that she's still new to the whole Texas Ranger thing, and she wants to succeed so much into that, but she's also never had a real committed relationship before, and she wants to give that a shot too with him. So the two are kind of ready to go with that and, really start being a couple there. I believe the next morning, Cordell tries to be a father. He's cooking breakfast for his kids. His daughter's still giving him the cold shoulder. And here comes the power of technology, which they engage conversation by texting briefly, and she's able to confess her true feelings that I miss Mom. It hurts to not have Mom around. And it just hurts. And she misses him. Misses her. And Cordell does too, and they have this brief moment of like animosity and, a brief glimmer of hope when she gives him back the mug that he was missing from the start of the episode. And so the two begin discussing maybe potentially moving. Well, like you can tell in their sense, like there's going to be conversation that they're going to move to the farmhouse. So they head back over to their old house to pick up the. This was another thing I forgot to mention, that there was another pseudo flashback scene where Cordell and Emily were engraving their kids' hands in cement to be one of the stone walkways in the entranceway to their house. So they head back over to get it and move it over to the I can't speak English tonight. I'm so sorry. To the farmhouse. His daughter Sydney, I believe, accidentally breaks it in half. Cordell tries to calm him down, like, look, it's an easy fix, don't worry about it. But she starts crying. Because that's again, now she's feeling it too, that was one of the symbols of their house that made it feel like their family home, and it just broke her, and Cordell just finally has a real moment of like connecting and being, in one with his daughter again. So I thought that was really sweet. We cut back to the farmhouse where Grandpa Walker's waiting there for them, and he gives Cordell a new saddle. It's either a new saddle or a fixed up saddle. I could not tell the difference. I think it was either one or the other, because the old one was kind of like just reminding Cordell too much of Emily, and this is kind of like a way to like start over and have a fresh start, that sort of thing. Kind of his way of like saying like, this is my way of showing my love to you, even though I'm not saying anything. God, I love Grandpa so much. I love him so much. And while Cordell is looking at it and kind of briefly getting flashbacks again, he hears Emily's voice, which I'm like, oh God, we're getting flash voices, aren't we? But no, it turns out back in the farmhouse, August is showing his sister his project, that's that's a work in progress that features Emily prominently, and he asks Cordell, his dad, if he wants to watch it, which he agrees. The three watches it, and man, this gave me minor Full House flashbacks, where I remember when, I think it was season 2 or 3, I think it was very early on in the show, where I think they were just missing the mom, the Tanner's mom that passed away before the start of the show. They were watching home tapes and they were just remembering the good times and missing her, and that's kind of how this scene felt like, where they were just looking like, this was just such a beautiful time capsule that, just seeing the whole family together, and it was a really well done scene. And I felt like Cordell and his was like beginning to like get back into the groove of things with his kids, now that they kind of got to see what family was like back then with Emily and what that means going forward. Also, if you could tell the sound of my voice, like, am I gonna cry? I'm like, I am not going to cry. I'm sorry, I do not cry. This was a really heartwarming scene. I am not going to cry, so don't even think about it. And the episode ends with the three of them just finishing up the video, and it's really well done. Yeah, again, overall, I really enjoyed this stuff. I think Walker is on to something. I think last week kind of like felt like a little bit of like a slow start. This was like part 2 of the premiere, except in the ways like it played for what you were thinking the show was going to be, but the show's not I don't believe, I could be wrong, because this is still a long game. We could be wrong. Maybe there's something more at play here, but at least from what I'm guessing, this is not a show about Cordell trying to solve his wife's already solved murder or try to figure out more of the circumstances behind it. This is the story of how Cordell Walker is going to be a father again and to be a family man again with his family around him. I think that's what the show's about, and I'm all for it. Because in both of Jared Padalecki's shows in recent years, the one theme was clear: it's always about family, which I respect a lot and I understand a lot. But yeah, I really dig it. I can't wait to see what hopefully next week doesn't become more procedural and we begin layering into Cordell's faults and more what he has to do to kind of like get his family back on sure footing now that, he's kind of like the thing holding everything together. So I can't wait to see how that goes. I really can't wait. I can't wait to finally start getting some Cordell and Mickey centric storylines in terms of like them building their partnership, because the bands they have right now is pretty good, but we're mainly focused on Cordell focusing on fixing his family. I really hope we get to the point where we start seeing those two start like getting in their own banter, start getting their own like development going. So hopefully we will get that. And yeah, so for me, I give this episode 2 thumbs up. I really digged it, and I think you should watch it if you already were not spoiled by me spoiling it, I guess. Still new to this Texas Ranger business, so I apologize. But I think that's going to do it for me, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, reviewing every Walker episode on the CW. If you want to know what we're doing overall, What's in the Tube, besides our Walker episode reviews, we are doing every Rookie Season 3 episode reviewed every Monday mornings after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on ABC and on Hulu the next day. We're currently on a little bit of a break on that since of regular hiatus stuff / Super Bowl Sunday stuff. So we're on break for 2 weeks. We're going to do quick impressions on this coming Monday for Smallville. So we're doing another CW / WB show. So check that out if you want to. We also do Nancy Drew Season 2 episode reviews each and every Thursday morning after a brand new episode on Wednesday nights on the CW, and free the next day on the CW app and the CW.com. So you have no excuse not to watch it, because right now it's really getting good. But if you only care about Walker, you're in luck. We'll be back next Friday morning with the next episode review for you. So we'll be back. So grab your hats and get ready for more Walker stuff next week. And again, the Walker fan base is like really huge now. I can't wait to see how big this can go. I really want this story to continue, so keep supporting the show. It really does help. Well, Walker and the show specifically, you know what I mean. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more What's in the Tube, please subscribe to ActionX on youtube.com/ActionX. Ring the bell for notification when our next Walker episode review is live, which is again every Friday morning. As well as like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it helps us get us out there to new people who have yet to discover us, expands our reach, that sort of thing. It's all for free, by the way. As well as follow us on Twitter to be up to date on any updates with the channel, as well as follow us on Twitch, where we usually will be streaming there. My Elgato's currently broken, so I can't stream, which sucks in my life. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But for you Texas Rangers, I'll see you all next week for the next episode review. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this week's episode. I'm always open to conversation down there. And I'll see you all next week. So again, be good to each other. Stay safe out there. And as always, peace out.